Hello everyone. In this video, I will be talking about how the Spider-Verse films and Megamind actually have very similar themes. And I'll be talking about how they convey both of their themes in very different ways. Before I talk about both these movies, I just want to say I love both these movies. I've seen them a million times. They're all on my Letterboxd top 4. So, what is the theme? The theme of both movies is about rejecting societal norms. So first, let's talk about how Megamind conveys this theme. So let's start with Megamind and Metro Man's upbringing. Although Megamind and Metro Man are both aliens, the way that they grow up and the way that they're perceived influence who they become. Metro Man grew up in a wealthy home while Megamind grew up in a prison. Metro Man was likely taught traditional values, while we can see that Megamind was taught backwards, basically. In school, Metro Man was well liked by his peers, and he was even liked by the teacher, while Megamind was picked on for looking different. He was picked on for having blue skin and having a big head, and because Megamind was always seen as a villain, he became a villain, whereas Metro Man was seen as a hero, so he played the role of the hero. Megamind even says it directly that he decided to play this role.
Being bad is the one thing I'm good at. If I was the bad boy, I was going to be the baddest boy of them all.
This brings me to my next point, which is that Megamind has an interest in heroes. After Megamind quote-unquote defeats Metro Man, he's sad, and we learn that he's actually very interested in how heroes are created and made. Him being sad shows that he genuinely cared about him, whereas a traditional supervillain would be happy that they defeated their arch nemesis, Megamind was sad. He knew society needed a hero. We see Megamind's interest in heroes in the scene where he pretends to be Bernard. He and Roxanne talk about how society feels unbalanced without a hero, like I was mentioning earlier.
As long as there's evil, good will rise up against it.
Oh, I wish.
I believe someone is going to stand up to Megamind.
And I also interpret this scene as Megamind trying to conform to societal standards. He has to put on this appearance of someone who looks like they would know a lot about superheroes because he knows with his reputation and with how he looks as Megamind, he can't just talk about superheroes. Megamind's interest in superheroes brings me to my next point, which is that I don't think Megamind is evil, he's just dramatic. So Megamind is not evil in the sense of a traditional supervillain. He likes to cause mischief and he'll do something here and there, but he's not evil. He just, to me, is dramatic and he likes to put on a good show. For example, in the scene where he is taking over the city, he's dancing, playing music, using lasers, playing in the police officers' faces. He's not worried about attacking people or seeming intimidating. He's just trying to look cool. And then when Roxanne asks him what are your plans for the city, he just makes something up.
Imagine the most horrible, terrifying, evil thing you can possibly think of.
When facing off Titan at the end of the movie, he uses all of his bots to make a face of himself. He's just really dramatic. So yeah, he's not evil. Okay, my next point, Megamind isn't evil, he's just dramatic, part 2. This has more so to deal with Roxanne, but again, it shows that Megamind's not evil. So, Megamind has never harmed Roxanne. He's very showy, and he's very flashy, and he likes to be dramatic, but he has never harmed her. In the scene where he captures her during Metro Man Day, she can predict everything he's gonna do. Why? Because he doesn't do it. It doesn't hurt her. Also, when Megamind starts to fall in love with Roxanne, he puts all the pieces of the museum back and he cleans up the streets for her. He's not evil. He just needed someone to see the good in him and see him for who he is, which brought out the good in him. Everyone his whole life perceived him as a villain, so he played that role. But he met the one person who saw the good in him, saw the real him, and he was able to express that. Furthermore, when Minion catches on, that's where we see Megamind outright saying he doesn't want to be the bad guy anymore.
The bad guy doesn't get the girl.
Maybe I don't want to be the bad guy anymore.
Even he acknowledges that, he doesn't want to be evil. He's not. It's not like he really was, but he then said it, oh, he doesn't want to be the bad guy anymore. This scene is really important because it's showing that Megamind realizes he has a choice. he doesn't have to be what society expects him to be. He doesn't have to be the villain. He can be the good guy if he wants. Like, my final point is Metro Man's decision. Metro Man's decision is pivotal because it shows that, like, again, you don't have to be what society expects you to be. At the end of the movie, we see that Metro Man didn't actually die. He just faked his death because he realized he didn't want to be a superhero anymore.
Ever since I can remember, I've always had to be what the city wanted me to be. But what about what I wanted to do? Then it suddenly hit me. I do have a choice. That's when I got the brilliant idea to fake my death.
Even though this point in the story sounds like really silly, I know when I watched this movie for the first time when I was a kid, I was like, what? But now that I'm older, I realize the significance. It shows that he made the choice to follow his passions rather than what people expected him to be. This speech that he gives to Megamind then inspires him later to make the choice to be a hero, and he defeats Titan and he saves the day. In conclusion, in the movie Megamind, it shows the journey of Megamind's realization that he doesn't want to be a villain, and he rejects the societal standards that have been placed on him since he was a kid. Okay, now on to Miles. Even though both movies include this theme, I'm gonna focus on the second one because they really do lean into this with the whole canon and Miles not supposed to be Spider-Man thing. But before I do that, I do need to give context for the themes that are implied in Across the Spider-Verse. So I'll be going through the first movie and breaking down how they show the theme of Miles rejecting the societal standards for being Spider-Man in that movie. So something that I love about Into the Spider-Verse is that they show that Miles doesn't want to fit in like the most small ways, right? So at the beginning of the movie, he wears his shoes untied on purpose.
Hey,
Yeah?
his shoes untied.
Yeah, I'm aware. It's a choice.
Even though it's a very small detail, it shows like he doesn't want to fit in. Like, and then also just him in his school. He says it's elitist. He'd rather be at his old school. And it just shows that he doesn't want to fit into a rigid structure. He doesn't like that. After Miles is assigned his essay on the book The Great Expectations, he spray paints a mini mural of the words "no expectations." And that's a very clear sign that he obviously doesn't believe in having expectations for himself. He wants to make his own path. He wants to do what he wants to do. After Miles becomes Spider-Man, he is expected to accept the fact that he can't save everyone, but he rejects this multiple times. In his first full conversation with Peter, he says to him like, hey, why don't you go back to being a normal kid? Miles says, no, I don't have a choice. I have to save everyone.
Want my advice? Go back to being a regular kid.
I don't have a choice. Kingpin's got a super collider. He's trying to kill me. Look, if I don't turn off the collider after you leave, everyone in the city, my parents, my uncle, and millions of others will die. You good with that, Spider-Man?
Yeah.
This just continues to show that Miles is not a traditional Spider-Man. Even though he's expected to let certain people die, he doesn't want to do that. Later on in the movie, Miles has his most iconic scene, his leap of faith scene, where he fully embraces the role of Spider-Man. And in this scene, we see him spray paint his suit. Even though this part is like 2 seconds of the scene, it's so important because it shows that like he designed his own suit. Like, he's not just gonna wear any Spider-Man suit. He's gonna wear a suit that fits who he is. And in the end of the movie, Miles proves that he is able to do both. He's able to save everyone, send everyone home, and save the multiverse. Now, I want to talk about how the second movie continues this message of rejecting societal norms, specifically within the Spider Society. And they really lean into this in the second movie. So in Across the Spider-Verse, the movie begins with Miles' counselor, right? She's crafting a story to help him write his college essay, and after Miles talks about his dream of studying quantum physics,
I could help figure out how to travel to other dimensions.
Yeah.
she says this.
That's your story. Now, just stick to the script.
She says, okay, that's your story, stick to the script. This movie is already setting up expectations that are meant to be broken. Miles does not stick to the script. In fact, the way he became Spider-Man was off script. He was bitten by a spider from a different dimension. His whole story is off script. So this movie is already setting up the idea of expectations and how he doesn't fit them. Then we have the crucial introduction of the character Hobie, aka Spider-Punk. Hobie is an anarchist, and being an anarchist, he rejects any form of government, but also the entire system of Spider Society. He tells Miles that being Spider-Man is supposed to give the person the freedom to make their own decisions, and he tells them to make his own watch if that's all he wants from the Spider Society.
Why you want to be part of this lot?
To get a watch.
Make your own watch. Whole point of being Spider-Man is your independence. Being your own boss, you don't need all this.
Now I want you to watch this specific line.
Just don't enlist till you know what war you're fighting.
This line is amazing, and it's so significant because he's already giving hints to Miles, telling him that this Spider Society is not all he thinks it is. It's not all good. It's actually very restricting. It's not freedom. He thinks that by joining it, he'll have the freedom to go wherever he wants with a watch, but he doesn't realize that he won't be able to make his own decisions because of the canon, which is my next point. Then we have the entire explanation of the canon. The canon shows all the different events that the spiders must go through. Miguel confronts Miles for saving the captain in Moonbutton because according to the canon, he's supposed to die.
There, and you weren't supposed to save him. That's why Gwen tried to stop you.
However, Miles doesn't agree with that. He thinks it's stupid that an algorithm is supposed to decide who lives or dies.
So we're just supposed to let people die because some algorithm says that that's supposed to happen? You realize how messed up that sounds, right?
He wants to be able to save everyone, like he said in the first movie. So once Miles learns that his father will die in 2 days, since he will be sworn in as captain, he is determined to save him regardless of whether or not it fits the canon. After Hobie helps him escape, the Spider Society chases him and Miguel and Miles end up fighting on a rocket. Now, in this scene, Miguel is trying to tear Miles down. He's saying he was never supposed to be Spider-Man. He's calling him an anomaly.
You're not supposed to be Spider-Man!
No! You're lying! I'm Spider-Man!
You're a mistake!
Then, Miles says his most iconic line.
Everyone keeps telling me how my story is supposed to go. Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing.
This line perfectly captures who Miles is. Both movies have been trying to say that he can do both, right? He can save the universe and he can save his dad.
I can do both! Spider-Man always...
He's saying you can have your cake and you can eat it too.
Can't have your cake and eat it too.
Unless you bake 2 cakes.
He's saying that he doesn't have to fit into the Spider Society's ideas. Overall, the message of both films is that no one can tell you how to be Spider-Man or how to live your life. You have to decide that. Here are my final thoughts. While Megamind shows that you don't have to be a villain just because society views you that way, Spider-Verse shows that even if society expects you to be a hero in some way, you don't have to be the hero that they expect you to be. I really like both of these films because they take a very similar message and they do them in such different ways. I think that's probably why all of them are on my Letterboxd top 4. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you want more commentary, analysis, video essays. Okay, bye.